screams, it's a plot to drop the IQ. Fighting amongst each other over rumors that don't like you. Prefer us trapped in melancholy with the wood ones of holly. Suggestions that obliterates and camouflage the folly. Attempt the mental robbery, executed sloppily. The hypocrisy, this mockery, and walk the talk with me. Put the hands up to touch the Akasha, cause you know deep down there's something bigger than your wallet.
Sweet eternal balance of all that is good, true, and beautiful, friends. Welcome back to Rogue Soul, where tonight is the winning report. It's time again. It's that time where we reach deep and we find our soul is eternal, and therefore we've already won. And also, we can see through all of the illusions. We can use our logic, our mind, our good, true, and beautiful connection in order to discern, see through all of the crazy webs we have woven for one another in this modern world, through all of the media, all the propaganda, and more, and that we can come through with a more true version of what's actually going on in the world, as well as the ability to let go of all of the fear they would love to plant inside of you. Don't carry that for them. It's not yours to carry. And that's what we'll do here on the Winning Report. Look at all the news. We'll bring that angle to it. Also, so you know, it is 5 days till my birthday. Big number 44 over here. So nearly halfway through the 40s. Pretty intense. My brain is just like, what, really? Are we 44? I mean, like, no matter how old you get, I think you still feel like you're young in the good ways, right? In the other ways, I'm like so glad that I'm not young anymore. So many mistakes, right? So many naivety, so many just illusions, delusions, so many unhealed aspects. Like, life just gets better and better every year, but I just don't feel old. So I know there's lots of people out there like, you're not old. Well, yeah, if you're older than me, you think I'm not old. If you're younger than me, you think I'm old. That's how that goes, right? So I get it. So for my birthday, if you're somebody who likes to give birthday gifts and you would like to, you have two of my favorite options that I would love for my birthday. The first one, if you want to give to me, I've got a donation of support option in the shop on roguesoul.org. You can go to the shop. You can scroll till you see donation of support. It's multiples of 10. You want to give, you know, a gift that way, feel free to use that option. I appreciate it. It's always loved. I'm always grateful to receive from all of you. I love the support I get for giving you all this show and all the other content that I do for free. So if you find value here and that's a way you want to give back, totally appreciate it. Appreciate you. Thank you ahead of time. Also, I love, you know, there's this whole thing where people do like donate to this or that charity or whatever for my birthday. I just say, if you want to do something like that, find someone in your life who needs something and get it for them. And even if it's a stranger, someone you don't know, right? If there's someone you do know and they need something, get it for them. Do that in my honor, right? For my birthday. You don't have to tell anyone that. You just know you're doing that in your heart. I would love that. That would make me so happy to know that people are out there doing that. And also, you know, if you don't know anyone who necessarily needs anything, bet you can find one downtown. I bet you can find someone who needs something, especially in the winter when it's so cold. There's a lot of people out there who need a lot of things. So if you want to give to somebody, and I would love for you to do that. Better than giving to an organization, in my opinion. If you have an organization you love and you want to give to them in my name, I also appreciate that. So if you're the giving person, you like to give to me for my birthday, those are the things that I would love to receive from you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Love you, love you, love you. And while you're at the site at roguesoul.org, you can still take advantage of the White Friday coupon code for any orgone to get $22 off. Great gift, great for yourself. Go take advantage of those while there's still some left. You can also use the White Friday code when you're booking with me. So if you click on the booking or schedule a session or receive healing tabs or buttons on the roguesoul.org site, then you will be taken to the scheduling site, and that's through Calendly. You pick your session, you pick your time, your date, you book it. But if you want to do the Bright Solstice event, you can still use the White Solstice code. You still have a couple more days of that up until my birthday. And you can also get a discount on Oh, the 2026 tarot readings. Yeah, I've been doing a bunch of those this week. A lot of you have taken advantage of that. That's a discount with the code White Friday. So White Friday on the site for the Orgone, White Friday for the 2026 tarot readings, and White Solstice for the Bright Solstice event coming up this December 21st. Keep your eye out too. If you're on my mailing list or you're on my Substack, you might get the call to come join us for a Violet Flame Vigil somewhere right around mid-December. So maybe in about 10 days or so, I think I might be doing one of those. That's what I'm feeling like might be called to. If you've done the Violet Flame Vigil in the past, then you already know how powerful it is when we come together in service of humanity and the earth. So that's probably coming at you pretty soon too. If you like to come join us for that. We receive so much from it, and yeah, those are generally free. So you get to go deep, you get to get high connection, you get to channel through some blessing energy and be in a really powerful field for the good, true, and beautiful, and serve humanity at the same time. So look out for that. If you're not yet on my Substack to get those notifications, then go to it right now. It is rogueways.substack.com, and that is the place to stay connected. Or if you don't like Substack but you want to stay in touch, there's also the mailing list. Any page on roguesoul.org, if you scroll to the bottom, should have a way to sign up for the mailing list. I send out like maybe 8 to 10 emails a year, so there's very, very little, just so you know what's going on and what opportunities exist. So check that out too. Otherwise, let's get into it. We're here. We've got the news now. So starting with my most recent, just found a few minutes ago, the USCIS increases screening and vetting of aliens working in the U.S. DHS is cutting the maximum eligibility on work permits for immigrants from 5 years to 18 months. 5 years down to 1.5 years. So pretty big difference there. There's a lot of things that are going to be changing with the number and the types of people coming into this country, and I cannot say I am opposed. Cannot say I'm opposed. I'm a fan of vetting people more deeply. I'm a fan of, there's no reason to give 5-year. Most countries, if you're going to go there and get their visas, you're not going to be there for 5 years. It's often like 2 months, 3 months. So 5 years was already kind of intense. 1.5 years is still plenty for anybody. So I'm down with it. I say good. Make people work harder to be anywhere. That's what I say. Until we got a better system in place. That's the way I think it's best to do it. So that's that. Russia in the news for banning Roblox. Roblox is, one of these games that it's more popular amongst the children, the younger ages. And I always get Roblox and Minecraft confused, and I'm sure that sounds so ridiculous to so many people, but I just they seem the same to me. Maybe they're totally different. I don't know. But apparently Roblox is the unsafe one. And it seems like a lot of parents seem to kind of know that as such. So Minecraft considered more safe. I think there's just various different controls that you can put on. I don't know. But for whatever reason, Roblox seems to either attract or have less barring against pedophiles and different types of predators and just negative behavior. So less safe for the children. Well, Roblox is now banned in Russia for exactly those types of concerns, as well as extremist content, including LGBT related material. That's right. There are still places in the world that view a lot of the furry, trans, LGBT stuff as extremist. And I'd say that in the majority of cases, they're not wrong. They're not wrong. There's actually no need to advertise any of those things to anybody. The whole thing was you gay? Yeah, cool. Okay. And so there's no need to push it, sell it, convince people about it. So why it would even be in this game, I don't know. But I'm not surprised that Russia has a problem with that. A lot of more traditional places do. So Russia's banning Roblox. I bet some other places will follow. U.S. senators have sought to block NVIDIA sales of advanced chips to China for 30 months. Which is interesting because I could have sworn not that long ago on the Winning Report, we were talking about how NVIDIA very specifically made a deal with China for, I want to say, more than 30 months. Whichever way this goes, it's kind of insane but it might determine the fate of the whole world. Like these chips and what people are doing with them is exactly what will determine the future. Like who has which AI and which data centers and what they're doing with them is what's happening with the future. So however you want to cut that, like whatever we end up doing with AI or not doing, whatever power it does or doesn't have, like it doesn't actually matter, but it's still coming back to like who actually has the best, the most, right? Applied it in the best ways, maybe. But all of that comes down to who's got the chips. Who has the chips? And NVIDIA has been the maker of the only really reliable and really great chips in the world. And so there they are deciding the fate of the world. You know, it's this type of thing that it always amazes me. People's attention will be in very specific places because traditionally that's where we've been needing to look, right? Like who's the president or which parties are where, like, you know, what is society like leaning towards or against as far as trends and all that sort of stuff. And like who was thinking about who would be the chip makers and who would they choose to side with or serve, right? I'm sure a lot of transhumanists and, you know, futurists and stuff did know that, did expect that, saw that coming. But I think that's the minority of people in the world. The vast majority of people have never considered, right? Like, will it matter if we have one really powerful chip maker and they're deciding whether to side China, the US? Big deal. It's a big deal. So the US is smart. It's an intelligent thing to try to get NVIDIA to sell to the US and not to China. China's smart, as far as China's concerns go, to do the same, right? Me personally, I quite obviously would want the US to win in that battle. Quite obviously, not just because I live here, but because China's a terrifyingly totalitarian, horrifying country. And with them gaining any more power than they have is not good for humanity. So yeah, I hope NVIDIA makes the right choice. You could always give NVIDIA a little bit of nudge with your consciousness, your heart, be like, come to the good side. All of humanity depends on it. Pretty wild stuff in this modern world. We also have this threat with all of these states that are very hesitant to share their data with the federal government over SNAP, EBT benefits, food benefits. They don't want to do that for a pretty obvious reason. It's because they know how many people will then get kicked off the program. It's the only reason you would refuse, right? And so, you know, whether you think the people who are on it should stay on it or everything's fine with that, so we want to, you know, keep that data from the federal government or not, that is the only reason. Is because you know that there's going to be people otherwise removed from these roles and you would like them to keep their benefits. And so so the federal government, Trump and his administration, is saying, fine, you don't get any benefits then. You either give us the data and we go through it and find fraud and remove it, or you don't get any benefits. So I think that's a good comeback to the states who are refusing to share the data. I think it's fair. If you're going to work with the federal government's going to do that. I'm not saying you should or shouldn't, but if you want federal money, you've got to. So it comes down to you. I'd be all for states being like, fine, we don't want your funding, we'll do it ourselves. That's actually how it should be, in my humble opinion. Right? And then if your state wants to collect all this money from you and the taxpayers and then redistribute it to people who are defrauding the state, cool. That's your guys' choice, right? That's why we've got multiple states. You can move to a different one if you don't like it. But no, they're just not going to share the data. Federal government's going to shut it down. We'll see what happens. I'm not opposed. Federal agents have flooded New Orleans to take down illegal immigrants and criminals. I mean, that's a double entendre. I repeat myself, right? They are already criminals by being illegal immigrants, but illegal immigrants who also commit other violent crimes like rape or high-level robbery. And so federal agents have flooded into New Orleans to do this too. This is now, I know, multiple cities now where we've had that occurring. We're getting a lot of people are being deported, being caught. A lot of the cartels are being taken down, and a lot of people who don't understand things are really upset about it. I still find people to this day who their concern is, well, what about when they start taking US citizens? Like, well, it's never happened before, so why would it start now. Not saying you shouldn't wonder, keep an eye out, whatever, but like, what specifically about right now makes you think that's suddenly going to change? We've been deporting people your whole life. We've been deporting people long before you were born, and they've never ever targeted citizens. So what about right now makes you feel like it's different? The news is trying to scare you, and so you just think that. You have no evidence of it. It hasn't happened yet. No one seems to want to do it, but a news media said that maybe it was, and so you just are scared. Doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. It's not rational. So let them do their jobs. Take out illegal immigrants. Bye-bye. I'm down for it. New Orleans is getting that treatment now. They've arrested a January 6th pipe bomb suspect, and it's not the person that people had identified based on gait and other features. It's someone else entirely. So there had been a female police person who the internet was sort of like, we nailed it. Here she is. She's the one. And now they're saying it's this person named Brian Cole, who is 30 and a North Virginia resident, suspected of planting pipe bombs near the Capitol on the January 6th, 2021. Cole's linked to anarchist ideologies, was reportedly on the FBI's radar for years, and was taken into custody after a review of evidence from 2021 and 2022. His arrest follows a $500,000 reward offered by the FBI for tips and comes as a major breakthrough in this 5-year investigation that's fueled conspiracy theories. The bombs were placed outside Democrat and Republican National Committee headquarters and were found the next day, having not detonated. I mean, so maybe this random guy was actually the guy, and that's what happened. It sucks when they're like, oh, he had radical ideologies, like anarchist tendencies. There's nothing very radical about anarchy. I mean, actually, everything's radical about anarchy, but what they mean by radical is like extremist. They're like, you're violent and you're likely to commit crimes for your cause or your people or whatever. And that's not what an anarchist is at all. But no one understands the word anarchist. No one understands the word extremist, and no one understands the word radical. So if we're going to use these terms in the way they've been using them, this person's probably not even an anarchist. Right? And if they are an actual anarchist, which simply means that they understand that the best way for humans to work is for everyone to rule themselves. That's literally what anarchy means. And that if they realize that, they probably wouldn't be planting pipe bombs. It's actually counter to anarchy to commit violence against anybody unless they have specifically aggressed upon you and you're defending yourself. It's the only allowable circumstance under anarchy in which you can be violent if you want to call that violence. And again, that's not the definition of violence. So, but again, all these words have been so confused for so many years that you might be sitting here going like, what the hell is she talking about? Because we all use these words radically incorrectly. So it gets very confusing. But if this person is an actual anarchist, they definitely weren't the pipe bomber. And if they are instead someone who is extremely agitated about committing violence against government institutions in order to topple them or something, then yeah, maybe it is this person. But it's so confused that how would we know? And the other person, like I said, is a cop, a Capitol cop, police person, which was always sort of for anyone who really thinks, that was always sort of the running assumption about who planted them. It was an inside job, right? It was a false flag meant to be a false flag that for some reason wasn't carried out or wasn't completed. But all of the footage seemed to indicate that it was an insider and that it was a police person. So, I really actually think it's probably the person that everybody said it was, the female who had been sort of, fingered in the past few weeks as the January 6th pipe bomber, and that they grabbed this guy just because they could. That's my guess. Who knows? In Germany, their Chancellor Merz, has deep mistrust of the U.S. government. Quote, "They are playing games with us." Sorry. Like you're not playing games with everyone? Like that isn't what politics is? Like you're like surprised that politicians are playing games with each other? Like you made it to this point in government and this is your takeaway, is that like they're playing games with us and that's weird or something? Like, yeah, they're playing games with you. Who isn't playing games at that level? Come on, dude. Get your shit together. He says there is a, quote, great danger, unquote, for Zelensky, that he must be extremely careful in the coming days. They're playing games, both with you and with us, he said, presumably referring to Witkoff and Kushner in their attempts to broker some sort of peace between Ukraine and Russia. Yeah, I think they are playing games. I think it's pretty freaking obvious, and I think it's the silliest thing in the world to say out loud as though nobody knew that. I don't know anymore what people know, though. They act crazy. They act like the whole world is this brand new thing no one's ever seen before. Like, nope, everything's exactly how it always has been. There is nothing new under the sun, dude. Sorry to burst your bubble. Sorry to invade your little weird delusion you had going on, but this is all quite normal. Par for the course, as they say. So we've got detection of Pfizer BioNTech messenger RNA COVID-19 vaccine in human blood, placenta, and semen. This is unfortunately, it's a newer report. I don't think we covered this. It came out, however, mid-October of 2025, so a month and a half ago or so. I don't know. I don't remember covering the specific one. We've covered plenty like it, right? That seem to show like the negative effects of this, how many people are dying, all of the chronic illnesses, et cetera, ad nauseum. But this study examined the persistence of synthetic mRNA. Still so messed up. We're like, oh, it's messenger RNA. They're like, no, it's modified RNA. Like, oh, even worse. So when we said, hey, when you inject us with mRNA, it's going to be gene editing because that's what messenger RNA does. And they're like, no, it's totally not. Just take this. It's totally good for you. We swear to God. And some people were like, okay, I guess we'll trust them. Let's do it. Oh, by the way, that was actually modified RNA. That's what this mRNA. It's the same word. It's the same. It's the lowercase m, capital RNA, just like messenger. For some reason, we didn't make a new one. We didn't make it differentiated in any way, so you couldn't have known, but oh well. Christ. So anyway, the persistence of synthetic modified RNA from the COVID-19 vaccine, Comirnaty, stupid word, in the blood, placenta, sperm, and seminal fluid of both vaccinated and unvaccinated individuals. So the shedding was real. We weren't crazy. When people started getting this injection and just right away, I was like, weird. I seem to have weird reproductive issues. And so does every other woman I can find. Young ones, old ones, middle-aged, all of them. They all do it, even though the vast majority of them never took the injection. So it's obvious from the beginning that this was shedding and affecting us. Well, now we know for sure, 100%. That's true because even unvaccinated individuals have been found to have this synthetic mRNA in all of their reproductive organs and fluids. Yay for humanity. It was, the numbers aren't right here in the abstract, but when I was reading a summary of this, it was 88% of vaccinated individuals. And I want to say it was 40% of unvaccinated. That's huge. It's huge and it's deeply unfortunate. So this is from the new study, new-ish, right, month and a half old, detection of Pfizer BioNTech messenger RNA. They say messenger right in the title. That's not what it is. Anyways, vaccine in human blood, placenta, and semen is the name of the study if you want to check it out. Pretty disturbing, pretty disturbing. Always be detoxing. Always be taking the best care of yourself you can. Get the sunlight, get grounded, drink purified water, add the trace minerals, high density nutrition, whatever's right for your body, but high density nutrition, and cleansing. Get those detox pathways open and flowing. Those are the ways, right? That's how we do it, right? So we have this map. It's really handy here. Going back to the illegal immigrant topic, it says it's a map of the states that are trying to legitimize it's a map of states granting undocumented immigrants driving privileges, and it's all the states you might expect: Washington, Oregon, California, Nevada, Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, Hawaii, and then a lot of those northeastern coastal states, right? Illinois, all these captured states, all the blue states. And those are all the states giving undocumented immigrants driving privileges. They're giving them driver's licenses, sometimes in illegal rings, which we've talked about. I don't even know how many times now that they've been busted, and that we've talked about them here on Rogue Soul on the Winning Report. But they're always from those states, and sometimes they're not. Sometimes there's these rings of DMV illegally passing out these cards to illegal immigrants in states that aren't blue. But these are the states that are specifically legitimizing it. And there's one reason to do that. And it's not because you want illegal immigrants to drive. Can you guess what the reason is? It's because you want them to be able to vote. That's why. So when all this talk, like illegal immigrants don't vote, they can't. Well, yeah, they can. In fact, in some of these states, it's illegal to even show an ID. But if it's not one of those states, then you're supposed to show an ID, but just an ID is enough to get you a ballot. Doesn't prove your citizenship. Just proves that somebody said, yeah, you can drive. It's not enough, right? So don't let them lie to you. When they tell you there's nothing like that going on, it's quite clearly going on. And the European Center for Disease Prevention and Control sends the European Union health ministers a new plan advising actions to prevent a bird flu pandemic, which, quote, scientists say is just one major mutation away. Well, since they can't actually show us a single virus anywhere in the world and never have, and since they cannot show either that viruses go from one person to another in any way at all, ever in the history of ever, I'm not sure what it is that's one major mutation away, except that perhaps something that they are creating that is bacteriological or parasitic or and any other sort of form of life, that might be one mutation away, or they're about to dump a bunch of chemicals and poison a bunch of people and call it bird flu. Either way, their fix, we already know what their fix is. Fix is always ridiculous. Their fix is to kill all the birds. Just like we are at the stage of human history where people are so generally stupid that is their fix for being poisoned by their toxic environment, is to kill birds. It's practically back to whatever they tell us we were when we were like supposedly, like burning things and thinking the gods were gonna like love us for that and make the rains come or whatever. It's no different. They're just like not connected at all, but let's just do it just to do it. Let's just kill all these birds, even though what those people are actually sick with right now is what we sprayed from the skies on them or what we put into their food supply or their water supply. Yeah. All right, guys. So you might have to kill your birds even more in the EU soon, according to that article and headline. Macron is also warning that the U.S. could betray Ukraine. So, Macron add him to the list of the German chancellor who thinks the U.S. is playing games. Betray what? Betray that we already gave you billions of dollars for you to do cocaine with your weird wife? Like, no, I don't think that we have anything to betray. We don't really have a relationship with you, except you taking our money. In Germany, the supposedly far right, which is actually just slightly nationalistic and not wanting immigrants to flood in from all angles all the time without, any kind of limits. That party, the AfD party, they're gaining more and more. They're now the most popular party in the country, despite just continuous efforts to demolish them, killing people in that party, burning down their cars and houses, constant media attacks of how evil they are, deeply paid for and organized, fake rebellions against them. Like all of that has failed, and people still choose AfD over every other party in Germany. And Germany's not like the US. They don't have just 2 fake parties, right? They have 8 fake parties. So a lot more choice of your fakeness. The AfD is the number one. Just goes to show you that the tides really have turned, and no matter what else is trying to be said, about whatever, people really are seeing through and have seen through to a great extent. Doesn't mean the game's over, right? We still have to be vigilant. We still have to keep working. We still have to keep, definitely, we have a long ways to go before things are good. But They are no longer stuck in that weird zone we were in where it seemed like the mind control was going to work and we would have no choice at all about anything in our lives soon. We've narrowly avoided that. We're going to keep avoiding it, but I like that the AfD is the most popular in Germany now. It's a good sign that some people still think. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has proposed conditions to Donald Trump in exchange for stepping down. We'll see if any of those conditions involve the Cartel de los Solos, the sun, the Cartel of the Sun, his organization, his military, basically. If any of his conditions involve them staying in power, then obviously that isn't good enough. So, no, I don't think that's going to happen. We'll see. But he clearly knows he can't win, this thing. And that's not a bad thing. As I've said before, that his military organization, the Cartel of the Suns, was the ones who took over in a violent coup and said it was for the socialist, communist, future of the people of Venezuela, and then went on to tank the entire economy, and everyone there is living in bullshit and rubble, and nobody likes it. It hasn't been good, super abusive, deeply aggressively horrifying people personally, and also did all of that to their country, and also created and maintains and helps run the worldwide election fraud system literally out of Venezuela. So deeply embedded in the scum of the world. And so the Cartel of the Suns, anybody from that is going to continue all of that. So there's no real compromise there, in my humble opinion. Hopefully that's how everyone else sees it too. Trump has scrapped many things of Biden recently, but one of these is the fuel economy standards. I, again, am totally fine with that. Everybody gets to choose what they want to do. If you want to have very low miles per gallon, oh, well, that is not actually what is affecting our weather at all. It's not affecting the climate at all. If it is, it's such an indiscernible amount that it doesn't matter. The thing that drives the climate is the sun and other cosmic sources of energy. And this is not a closed system here on Earth, and we get all our energy from outside the system via the sun and cosmic sources. So when they get intense and change, and when our magnetosphere weakens, everything changes. And that's exactly what's happening and has been happening and will continue to happen until that cycle is done and the poles either flip or go back to their spot. They are far from their spot, and there are weird anomalies going on right now all over Earth. And scientists are like, that's crazy. Don't worry, everyone. Totally safe. Nothing's going to happen to you. And you're like, how do you know? And they're like, we don't. You're like, okay, so you're full of shit, just like most of what we call science these days. But it's not driving. We know that much. It's definitely not driving. So you want a gas guzzler, you take it. I'm down with that. Electric vehicles are the scourge of the earth, and they promote slavery. Literally, they're disgusting. So good. Scrap those fuel standards. I'll take it. Call it a win. A lot of wins tonight. We have this unfortunate loss, though. Missouri-based healthcare company has revoked parents' access to their kids' medical records when the kid turns 12 without the child's consent. Insanity. 12 years old. Insanity. This is only predators would do this. I know they tell themselves it's for all these reasons. If you're a healthy, well-adjusted individual, you don't want to help a child keep things from their parents. You don't want that if you're healthy and well. Yes, there's some 12-year-olds that are in horrifying situations and their parents are horrible people. Sure. I mean, that's actually why we have ostensibly CPS, which no one should trust and is a horrible organization, but ostensibly, right, we have things that we could reclaim and make good again. To do things like help kids in those situations. We shouldn't have policies that, double up, but also double down, but also are actually worse for almost everyone, especially in this climate where there's such social contagion with really dangerous ideologies like gender transitioning and the like. So Missouri is a horrible place for children, we can surmise as of this, and hopefully that gets challenged and undone, or all parents leave Missouri, because Missouri's coming after your kids, bro. Not a good thing. In Massachusetts, parents have exposed what inclusive sex ed really looks like. They had already won some battles there, and then things got turned around. So listen to this. In Plymouth, Massachusetts, the school district rolled out a new middle school sex ed program, proudly listed amaze.org as a trusted source for 13 and 14-year-olds. One problem, Amaze makes cartoon videos aimed at kids that explain in detail how to masturbate, tells them that watching porn is perfectly safe and a way to figure out what they like, and pushes the idea that gender and sexuality have no boundaries at all. This is for 13 and 14-year-olds. You know, what is really interesting to me is nobody in the history of the universe ever needed to be taught how to masturbate. It's a thing that makes a lot of people deeply uncomfortable, and so I'm sorry if you're one of them, but it is true that usually about 2 years old, kids start pleasuring themselves, and it's not sexual. Like, they just unconsciously almost notice that it feels good, you know, to touch themselves, and so they do. And so a lot of parents like freak out and they're like, stop touching yourself, and like, you know, there's a whole trauma potential there. And other parents have learned, and they're like, hey, you know, it's cool, but like, if you're going to do that, you got to be somewhere else. You don't want to do this in front of people. Like, that's just how we are, right? We have boundaries, and we have, so like, go in your room or whatever. And then they start to learn like, oh, okay, I am allowed to do this, but it's not something I share with people or whatever. And, you know, and then they kind of grow out of it. And then eventually they do connect it with sex, right? But that's like usually much, 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 much later, you know, maybe like 11, 12, 13, you know, so maybe somewhere in there, but you already been masturbating. And maybe some people haven't, but that's developmentally, you would have already gotten there by this age. You definitely don't need instruction about it. Like, by no means, by anyone, anywhere, period. And so it's a weird thing to even have. If you were going to have something in the curriculum, it might just be like, yeah, it's okay to masturbate, you know, like do it by yourself in your room or whatever. Wash your hands. I don't know. You know, sure. Maybe you want to do that. By no means would you be like, here's how. You do it like this. Like, yeah, they know. Like, it's their body. They figured out what they like and don't like to do with it. My God. So definitely you don't need that. Absolutely you don't need porn or the promotion of porn or the normalization of watching porn when you're that age. Nobody, maybe. You could make the argument that nobody needs to ever watch porn. And I don't care, you do you. People make and watch porn. It's cool. Not judging you. I'll tell you that, like, health-wise, it's definitely not necessary. And if you're looking at the energetic aspects and the spiritual aspects, which we are totally disconnected from in this society, you probably shouldn't watch porn or get off to porn. Probably not good for you energetically. Definitely not good for kids. So crazy. They're pushing this site that pushes those things to kids in their sex ed program in Massachusetts. Parents found out, exploded, forced the district to pull most of the videos, but the school still left Amaze on the reliable resource list. So the same cartoon that ends the approved lesson now says, come visit me at Amaze for more. So now they have an approved lesson that doesn't involve some of those things like pushing porn and gender ideology and masturbation, but it still tells the kids where to go to get all that. And that's still in the curriculum. So it's so creepy. And as someone points out, if some creep on the internet sent your 8th grader these exact cartoons, you'd call the cops. But when the school does it, they call it comprehensive and shame anyone who objects. It's so true. These people are after your children. They don't have the same values as you, and they're going to destroy little people. So don't give them the little people to destroy. Any chance you get, homeschool your kids. Don't send them to public ed, that's for sure. Trump says Biden had no knowledge of what was signed with his auto pen, but the people sitting around the beautiful Resolute desk knew exactly what it was. And those people are guilty, in my opinion, he says, of major crimes. Yeah, I think he's not wrong. I think that's obvious. I don't know what you call that. Is it treason? Can you use capital punishment for those people? Maybe we'll find out. The doctor who pled guilty to supplying ketamine to deceased Friends actor Matthew Perry has been jailed for 2.5 years. Cool. I don't know enough about that whole situation to understand, but I figured some of you might care, so I included it. New Epstein files are unleashed. God, I'm not even gonna show it. So I mean, we saw, if you're with me here, we saw the first look at Epstein Island was like, God, I don't even remember. When was that? I think it was during the pandemic. But it was Luke Radowski and Jeff, Dollar Vigilante Jeff. And they went to the island together without permission and just ran around the island, like videoing it, and whatever. And so you got to see all the outside of it, at least, right? The whole grounds was pretty interesting at the time. We've never seen inside, as far as I know. Nobody's seen inside. I haven't seen inside, and a lot of conjecture about that. Well, I'll just verbally describe the most disturbing image that they released. And we already know, again, if you were around for Pizzagate, how long ago was that, dude? 10 frickin' years ago, at least? Longer? 13 years ago? I don't honestly remember. It was so long ago. If you were around for that, like, you already knew what went on at Epstein Island, and you already knew who was involved. Epstein Island was like the cherry on top of the long-running Pizzagate expose, which WikiLeaks was a major part of. Like, all the Assange stuff, like everything has been connected to that essentially since then. And that was already disturbing enough. So disturbing that I, again, will not go into details here, but the level of, it was so obvious, the level of satanic depravity, the absolute destruction of innocence, and the pleasure in destroying innocence in horrifying, torturous ways. That was all obvious in Pizzagate. And so when the Epstein thing all rolled around, it was like old freaking news. Like, people still act like it's like a new thing now, which just blows my mind. It's like people were just like not paying attention for decades, and now they're like, oh, I know everything that's going on, and they just have like no clue. Which would be fine if they didn't like act so much like they have every clue. Anyway, this is, even knowing all of that, this image is still disturbing, and it's an image of a dentist chair in a room that is covered in masks. Most of the masks are white looking, kind of jowly men. I don't know why they're all different masks, but they're also very similar for some reason. They're all pretty disturbing looking masks. It'd be creepy enough to just have the dentist chair, but to also have the masks, I don't need to know any more than that. And why are they releasing that? Beats me. Because most of the people who are clamoring for all this release are the people who are implicated in it, in the problem. They were implicated, again, before we even really like understood anything about Epstein, just in Pizzagate. And so I don't know, here we go, I guess. We'll find out, but that's been released. So if that makes you happy, good. That like something's released. I don't know why we really needed to see that nightmare vision, but there it is. All the other images are pretty tame and pointless. I mean, there's like a blackboard somewhere in one of the pictures, and it says like control, money, media, or just like really silly, almost like they wrote it there as like, what you would see in like a movie. Like, it's pretty stupid, honestly. And maybe like other people think that's like really telling. It looks like a prop to me. It looks like someone wrote it there to take the picture, but that was pretty silly. Dental chair with masks, on the other hand, like, gross. Pray for all the children in the world. All right. My Pillow CEO Mike Lindell files paperwork to run for Minnesota governor. Cool. I'll take him. I like him. He's cool. Alex Karp's Palantir shifts course to play a key role in ICE deportations through its own immigration OS. Ooh, Palantir. I don't remember ever hearing Alex Karp's name before, so I don't know why it's Alex Karp's Palantir, but I guess it is Alex Karp's Palantir. So it's shifted course to play this key role. Palantir was already merging with the government and being used for who knows if they're being used for pre-crime or not. That was their initial sort of offering to the world way back in Hurricane Katrina times. And that was at least part of it, but it was ostensibly to like merge all databases into one so that it was like easy to understand all the things the government knew. And, you know, instead of having it be just like compartmentalized to the umpteenth degree. So that was part of Palantir's mission in government, ostensibly. But now apparently they're shifting their role here to be part of the ICE deportations. Probably going to be really effective. Not going to lie. Probably going to be like incredibly effective. So we'll see. We'll see if deportations go up a significant degree, just how effective Palantir can be. And may it be always used to actually reinforce the law and only those that are actually legal, lawful laws. Treasury targets money laundering network supporting Venezuelan terrorist organization Tren de Aragua. Good. We'll take that as a win as well. Yay. The Pentagon deploys to the Middle East a new kamikaze drone copied from Iranian designs. So that's interesting. Iran came up with a kamikaze drone that we copied from them. Word. So there we go. We've got more kamikaze drones and we're sending them to the Middle East. A sense like against Iran or what? Like they already had them. So anyway, we'll find out. Parliamentary group leader of Germany's left-wing SPD party now says that it's completely unacceptable to laugh at their ministers in the government. How weak do you have to be to be like trying to control whether people make fun of you or not? I mean, like that is the quickest way to prove to people how weak you are, is to care and try to stop them from doing anything actually, except, right, like direct aggression against you is harmful or whatever. It's just talking, just laughing. Like if you wanted to prove to people that you were actually powerful, you'd not even notice. You're way too busy for that. You're way too cool for that. Wouldn't even notice. That would just drop people down a peg or two. When what they're doing has no effect on you, then they stop. We call this extinguishing. We extinguish behavior in this way by giving it not even a drop of energy. And there it goes. But no, you're the weak people who have to use your free speech, anti-free speech laws in order to crack down on people making fun of you online. May they make fun of you harder than they ever have, you weak fool. This is so random. The search for Malaysian Airlines flight MH370 that disappeared in 2014. Was it that long ago? You guys, time is insane. What? That's crazy. I just lost my mind. 2014. All right. Malaysia Airlines flight MH370 that disappeared in 2014 with 239 people on board. The search is resuming on December 30th. Why December 30th? I don't know. Like, it's such a random day to pick. And why is this back 11 years later? We're going to start looking again. I'm not opposed. This is just the randomest thing that I've heard all week. It just stands out. I don't know if you guys have an idea why MH370, why now, why 11 years later, why December 30th? You let me know. It'd be so cool if they actually knew it was like a time loop and they knew it was going to pop back into this dimension on that day. And they're telling us, right? This is like, zoop, we're back. And all the people on the flight are like, what? 11 years have passed? And to them, it's been like a day. That'd be so rad. Come on, God, make it happen. That would be a fun day. A fun day for everyone. Trump officially invalidates all documents signed by the Biden autopen, including pardons. Fauci, Hunter Biden are now not pardoned. That is huge, actually. That is huge. I was thinking just sort of executive orders. I didn't even think about the pardons at all. So Fauci and Hunter Biden are not pardoned anymore because of the autopen issue. Wouldn't it be a wild, wild world? Just dream with me for a moment. If the Clintons and the Bidens and Fauci all got hanged for treason, for entertainment purposes, I will say that. Allegedly, that could happen. That'd be amazing. What a world. What a world it would be. More than 1,300 people are confirmed dead and 800 missing in the Asian floods. Pretty catastrophic, pretty sad. This is again part of the intense weather that is ongoing from the ongoing geomagnetic excursion, the weakening magnetosphere, the intensifying solar activity. We're facing right now, by the way, a huge row of sunspots that have the potential to be throwing those X flares directly at us, directly at the Earth facing throughout the next few days. Some of those are bigger than the Carrington event was, which wiped out all the global grid way back when. The magnetosphere is ostensibly far weaker than it was in the Carrington event as well. So if we did have an intense flare like that hit us, we could definitely be facing a grid down situation. I did do a tarot reading for December just a few days ago. You may have caught it on the show, on the podcast, or anywhere where the videos go up. And in that, the card for our physical health in December was death. And death doesn't always mean physical death when it comes up in a tarot reading. It almost never does, in fact. But in this instance, it very well could. And so those things combined are making me a little nervous about December, especially, you know, it's weird. This whole three-eye atlas thing, like, I just haven't cared. The Oumuamua one was like very similar, and I just didn't care. And it also was nothing. And I just doesn't grab my attention. I haven't received any messages about it. So I'm not ignoring it. I just like what I read and see about it doesn't seem very interesting or exciting to me. So I'm like one of the only people on earth that doesn't care about three-eye atlas. But the interesting thing to me is that the closest it will be to the Earth in its entire you know, transversing of our solar system is on December 19th. And when it was approaching the sun and on the far side of the sun, the part that we could see and observe, at least, it was the sun seemed to be like exploding out to it, like lashing out at it almost. And some people took that as like it's an evil thing and the sun's protecting us. And maybe, right? I think it's a cool idea. It's not necessarily my intuition about it, but as it comes back around, it's between the sun and us. And if the sun also lashes out on it, and that will again be when this exact same sunspot row that's facing us right now is facing us again. So it will have left us and gone around the sun and come back around right when three-eye atlas is coming between the sun and Earth. And maybe that's the moment. Maybe that's three-eye atlas's entire job as an interstellar object, is to bring us that giant wave of energy that I have been told is definitely coming through our solar system, through the Earth, and definitely marks the beginning of a new age. So, you know, is that it? Maybe. By 2033 is when I was told the tribulations will be over. So, you know, that's before 2033. We'll see. So the combination of getting that death card in that spot and knowing what I know about three-eye atlas and knowing what I know about the sunspots and the magnetosphere, it's like a perfect recipe. So we'll keep our eye on it. Some people are worried about this week. It still could be also, it could be both. Like we could get some big X flares this week with these solar spots, and we can get them when they come back around. So we'll know when we know. No one will know the day or the hour, is what they say, and they're not wrong. So yeah, Asian floods have been pretty bad, just like we expect throughout this geomagnetic excursion. We expect the ongoing, you know, bigger floods, bigger catastrophes like earthquakes, you know, volcano explosions, tornadoes, all sorts of stuff. So all the intense weather you can imagine, all the intense earth changes you can imagine are more likely when we get X flares, when we get this solar activity, when our magnetosphere is weak. So Indonesia, Sri Lanka, Thailand, all flooding, big cyclones over there, lots of people dead, very sad. Send your love to Asia. And we already got that. The USDA is putting all programs under review and is ensuring that only American citizens receive food stamps. That's part of that requesting the data from those states like we were talking about. That's part of those states resisting and not wanting to send the data because they know that people have taken off the rolls. So we should get a cleaner SNAP program soon. This This video arose of these Waymo, you know, they're the driverless cars and they carry passengers nowadays. And so you can get into a car with no driver and it will take you around places. And so Waymos, this specific Waymo literally drove its passengers straight into a police blockade and active shootout and then just stopped. No reason 10 billion not to get in a Waymo. It may just bring you into the middle of a police shootout. Just because it doesn't know. Why would it? So crazy. They're like calling 911. They're like, help us. Like, we can't. Oh my God. So the don't drive in a Waymo is the moral of the story. RFK Jr.'s vaccine advisors plan to vote on ending vaccination of all newborns for hepatitis B and re-examining whether vaccines in the childhood immunization schedule are behind the rising allergies and autoimmune disorders. Of course they are. Thank God. Get rid of that hepatitis B vaccine. Hallelujah. Protect the children. Huge win. Gotta love it. Michael and Susan Dell have pledged $6.25 billion to help fund the Trump accounts for American children. This is the type of thing you love to say. I love it. I love it when wildly wealthy people are going to go out of their way to help what they believe is best for their country and what they believe is best for children. Like, those are the good people of the world. You know, there's lots of ways you can pretend to be philanthropic, like Bill Gates, allegedly. For entertainment purposes, I'll say. And you can then just murder vast swaths of children with vaccines, allegedly for entertainment purposes, I'll say. And you can say, oh, I'm philanthropic. I love humanity. I'm taking care of people, when actually you're a eugenicist and you're killing everyone. There's tons of ways to do that. There's very few seemingly highly wealthy people that are actually doing real philanthropy and helping people. And these people seem to be one of them. Strange looking people, beautiful hearts. So that's cool. This, by the way, is to help increase childbirth. You know, for the next 3 years or so, they're saying any child born, I think it's 2025, 2028, any child born will automatically get this fund that only that child can use. And when they turn 18, they'll have all this money. It's like a super cool deal. Like, it's like, yeah, have babies. And part of that is because of this whole declining birth rate of not just the United States, but essentially the entire Western world, and definitely all white people. It's like everybody who, you know, isn't white continued having babies, and white people just sort of stopped. And so that's, you know, if you want white people and white culture, you got to turn that around. If you want the West, you got to turn that around. If you don't got to turn that around. But it's up to you whether you want that or not. Jury trials in the UK are going to be scrapped for defendants facing sentences of 3 years or less, and now a single judge will decide their fate. This may sound sort of like, yeah, it's 3 years or less, like not a big deal. It's like low-level crimes and low-level whatever. But in the UK, they already have far less rights than we do here in the US. They already have far less power as far as being a citizen in their government and controlling their government, all of these things. And that judicial branch was already deeply eroded there as far as like the rights that people have in their judicial branch. And so jury trials was sort of like one of the few things they had left. And now they're scrapping that too. And they're doing it for efficiency's sake. They're doing it so they can get through sort of like more people, right? So it's sort of like has this ring of like, oh, maybe it's good and maybe it's more efficient. Let's get rid of some of the, bloat or bureaucracy or whatever. But it's not actually that. In the UK, it's actually just like a further degradation of their rights. So, you may not be in the UK, but you can feel for the UK losing their rights like this. And you can wonder where that's headed. It's a slippery slope. Once you're like, oh, for 3 years and under, we won't do it. And then it's 5 and then it's 10 and then it's just all of it. And then you just don't have jury trials. And the reason we have jury trials is because we knew that judges are corruptible, right? And if you have all of these different elements in a courtroom, in a judgment or in a finding of guilty, or all these sorts of things, you at least have a better chance of less people getting totally screwed over by the system. But there it goes if you don't have that. So pretty sad to see UK being continuously stripped of even more rights. UK, come on, time to stand up. Allegedly. For entertainment purposes. The views Sonny Hostin is not happy about targeting narco-terrorists out of Venezuela in their boats. She says, quote, "You're supposed to take those fighters and you're supposed to give them refuge and take care of them." I just can't imagine being this dumb. I get having that kind of heart, but like this, even if you have a really big bleeding heart, this isn't the time or place to apply it. You're literally saying like, and I'm not, this is like whether or not you think who they're targeting and blowing up are narco terrorists. I'm saying on the surface, if that's what she really believes is happening, she's saying narco terrorists should be taken in and given refuge and care. Just like another way to say that is people who profit from the absolute suffering of everyone involved in the entire chain of their business should be taken in and given care. What? I don't know. I mean, like, I guess you're that dumb. You know, and like maybe those people aren't. Maybe they're just shooting boats and who knows who's even on them and for what and why. Sure, maybe. But like, yeah, but like realistically, those are narco terrorists. And if they're narco terrorists and they're bringing in all these drugs and like you think that's what should happen, at the very least, say they should be like driven away. Like maybe not bombed and killed instantly without trial, but like at least pushed away. But take them in and care for them. Okay, crazy lady. Oh, speaking about crazy people, Luigi Mangioni's lawyers are trying to get everything thrown out. Oof, I hope that doesn't happen. You can walk up and like just the pussiest of pussy bitches, the weakest type of coward, go up to someone who has no idea you exist and shoot them in the back of the head. They didn't even know you were there and potentially get off. That's insanity. That's an insane system in an insane world for insane people. But they're trying to get the case thrown out. They're both trying to get the case thrown out on technicalities. They're also trying to get some of the evidence. If they can't get the case thrown out, they want some of the evidence thrown out on technicalities. And so I pray they don't succeed in that. I know there's plenty of people praying for the opposite. He's still like just this like hero of the downtrodden, of the left in general, of the Antifas of the world, the socialists, the communists, right? All of the dregs of society and the cluster bees, they all love him. Even a lot of this sort of like alternative or conspiracy world, wherever you consider me and my larger community to be at, even a lot of them are pro Luigi. I mean, I don't know, you're welcome to be insane, but like, I'm not sure exactly what's wrong with you. I like, if you think you're going to go just like shoot a person because you decided by yourself that they should die and that you're the judge and the executioner and the jury, as they say, and you're going to go do it, at least do it to their face, you weak pussy bitch. What the fuck is wrong with you? Your back hurts. I have titanium rods in my back, 2 slip discs. I've broken parts of various vertebrae that are shattered and nothing can be done about that. I've been in pain the vast majority of my life, levels that people can't even imagine. And I never shot anyone, you weak pussy bitch. And if I was going to, I would tell them to their face, let's fight, motherfucker. Otherwise, you're a weak pussy bitch. And if you support him, you are too. No offense. You should get your shit together. Maybe deep offense. Sometimes deep offense is what causes people to get their shit together. Moving on. Corruption in Indiana. State Senator Michael Boachek isn't blocking redistricting because of anything Trump said. It's because his wife, Melissa, got $1.5 million from Democrat Representative Frank Mervyn, whose district would be eliminated in the redistricting. Oh, that's convenient. So this is the Republican who came out and said, I'm not going to vote for this redistricting because Trump said retard. Yeah. I love this meme. There's this meme that's like, every time I call something gay and retarded, some gay retard tells me it's offensive. I'm saying if you let a word harm you, it's your fault, not anyone else's. And it might be true that Trump maybe shouldn't say retard. It's not very classy. It's not very becoming of a president, right? Maybe there's better words to prove that he's intelligent that he could use, to diss Tim Walz. I also personally don't care about the word itself. Retard, retard, retard. Say it all you want. People who are offended at a word have unhealed aspects of themselves, and that's not for you to take care of. And I'm not saying you need to use the word, and I'm not saying you need to go around saying it in public. If you are going to use it, you can say it amongst yourselves, say it, whatever, but, people who need to control other people's language are more concerning to me than people using the word retard when it comes down to it. And this guy pretends to care. He doesn't even actually care that Trump said retard. He just used it to excuse himself from voting in a way consistent with the funding of him and his wife. That's it. All he's saying is, I'm voting with the money. I'm voting with who paid me. And that's what, but I'll pretend that it's because Trump said retard. So don't listen to Senator Michael Boachek of Indiana. He's obviously corrupt. Who isn't? But at least we can see his corruption. Oh, the White House Christmas decorations have come out. Melania Trump looked stunning in her white and her red gloves and these draft horses and this horse-drawn carriage with the tree and all the decorations. And we've got some real Christmas, actual Western, Judeo-Christian, Christmas energy there, which is exactly as it should be, which is the actual culture we have here. And beautiful. I love it. It's also the tree lighting has gone down today as of this show. So we've got some real Christmas happening at the White House this year. You love to see it. Call it a win. The reason that Tim Walz was called a retard, getting back to the retard, is that he's 100% responsible for the massive fraud in his state, as government employees have also said, and as many are saying, as the Somalis have ripped off his state to the tune of billions of dollars. I mean, come on. Yeah, it is. It's all him. The Somali-led fraud scam has rocked Minnesota, and he's where the buck stops. Like, he should have done better. There's all sorts of evidence coming out that he knew, that his staffers knew, that plenty of people tried to blow the whistle, that there were all kinds of red flags, and that they purposely ignored it. I mean, I don't know if it was like just to... I don't know exactly why, but at the very least, you could say perhaps because they were afraid of being called racist, right? Or they buy into that line that you should just be giving anything you have to anyone who's not from the United States because the United States is evil. I mean, I don't know exactly what the cause is, what his motivation is, but that's absolutely true. So all of this has come out. Billions of dollars of taxpayer money has gone to the Somali fraudsters, and he's absolutely at the top of it. And so, that's why Trump called him a retard, and that's why everyone's on his case. Is he technically retarded? I mean, all of us are in some way, because all retard means is to stop. So all of us are stopped in some way. Medically retarded, though, I don't think so. He's just not very good at being at funneling money into Somali places without getting caught. All right. In German cities, sadly, there's less or no Christmas sparkle this winter because it's too expensive. It's actually not too expensive, but they destroyed all their energy infrastructure themselves, not in war, not at the behest of some foreign invaders, not as a punishment, but just to do it to themselves, just to do it. They just destroyed it all. So all their nuclear came down, and now they have no energy, and now they can't have Christmas lights. That's what's happening in Germany. That's why people love the AfD party, because they want to put a stop to all this nonsense. Speaking of infrastructure going wrong, a bridge built by the Congo's presidents for $2 million has its inaugural opening. It looks like just a collection of sticks loosely wrapped together. I'm not joking. They're all of different lengths. They're all like barely, and then it collapses, and tens of people just fall into this river of filth. So that's what $2 million gets you in the Congo. Very clearly, so dumb. Very clearly. I mean, like, just like even traditionally, people could just build bridges. Like, it's not even a high bridge. It just goes from one, 6-foot bank to the other 6-foot bank. It looks like about 40 feet across. Like, even just normal people without any experience could probably build like a pretty decent bridge, especially with $2 million. But no, they got a big pile of sticks and they barely wrapped them together and they set them across and they fell apart with just, 10 or 15 people on it. So dumb. Oh, and that's what life is like in the Congo. Honduras presidential elections are in ruins in Honduras. The elections for president have been shattered. They're falling apart. And if the page would load as though it's 2025 with the highest internet you can buy because it's your livelihood and it's what you do and it's how you make your money, then we would know. But apparently we can't know because it's not 2025 in this room. In this room, even if you pay for the best internet, you can't open a website sometimes. So we'll move on. And maybe we'll cover it next week. U.S. lawmakers have called a review of the military strikes against those vessels we were talking about, the drug trafficking from Venezuela, following a report during alleging Defense Secretary Hegseth ordered all crew members killed. All right, go for it. Do your investigation. Bring it. The world's biggest wealth fund to push back against Microsoft by voting against reappointing the CEO Satya Nadella and voting yes on proposal for a report about the risks of doing business in countries where human rights are a serious problem. Cool, good. You should pay attention to human rights. Hopefully they're talking about China. It's like a lot of Asia and most of Africa have serious human rights abuses. Africa specifically, horrifying slavery. And a lot of our tech is out of those places. So, yeah, they should care. Trump stands by his claim, calling Tim Walz retarded. I like that they're calling that a claim. These people are all ridiculous. Saying, yeah, I think there's something wrong with him. Absolutely. Of course he is. Of course he's standing by it. Trump also says he thinks that asylum into the U.S. will be paused for a long time. We don't want those people. Do you understand that? Because many of them are no good and they shouldn't be in our country. Countries like Somalia, all they do is go around killing each other. But like, he's not wrong. It's a pretty dark truth, but he's not wrong. And if you love Somalia so much that you would steal billions of dollars from the U.S. and send it back to Somalia, you should just be in Somalia. You like it, right? Trump also says not to read anything into his warning about Venezuelan airspace. It doesn't mean an airstrike is imminent. And he did have a call with Maduro, and he said, I wouldn't say it went well or badly. It was a phone call. Also great. Also great. So yeah, that's all happening. This is great, though. This is actually great. Bill and Hillary Clinton are ordered to comply with House oversight subpoenas. Contempt charges are already being drawn up for their refusal thus far to cooperate. I mean, that's what I'm saying. What if all the Clintons, what if the Fauci, what if all of the Bidens, what if everybody just gets hanged? I would love to see it. These people are satanic ritual abusers. These people are some of the darkest black magicians. These people take great pleasure in harming and torturing children. These are the actual friends of Epstein. These are the Pizzagate elite. These are the pedivores. So I would love it. So this is about Epstein. This is about what was released. And this is the Clintons being threatened with contempt for not already complying, being ordered to comply with the House oversight subpoenas. You love to see it. Could something actually happen to them? God, I hope so. What a wonderful day it would be. Netanyahu submitted a formal pardon request to Israel's President Herzog. I would have thought that had already happened. He's definitely been skirting this issue from quite some time. Trump wrote his letter asking to pardon him. He hasn't been pardoned. Now he's asking again to be pardoned. So we'll see where that goes. The people of Israel are pissed. They definitely want him held accountable. So I hope he is held accountable for his potential war crimes, allegedly for entertainment purposes in Gaza. And yeah, we'll see if they hold him accountable this time. It's like every time they're like, yeah, you're finally going to court or trial or whatever. And he's like, oop, there's another war. Gotta go. See you guys when it's done. Oof. 25,000 violent Antifas attacked the AfD youth group in Germany. Like I said, the AfD is that what they're calling radical right, which is actually just populist, nationalist people in Germany, which is the most popular party now. 25,000 Antifa. You know who funded them. You know who funded them, and it's the Soroses. But they punched journalists, smashed car windows, and they injured a horse. And that is unforgivable. I can forgive almost anything except injuring children and animals, and then you must die. That was just a joke. Court rules that a 12-year-old's mother cannot read her the Bible or take her to church. God damn it. I believe this is in the UK, though, where they're like literally openly just anti-Christian in almost every way. Oh, no, it's Maine. This is in the U.S. The Maine Supreme Court recently heard an oral argument concerning the case of Emily Bickford, who was blocked from taking her 12-year-old daughter to church. Bickford received a custody order from a lower court forbidding her from taking the girl to services for Calvary Chapel, an evangelical Protestant fellowship of churches centered on expository Bible preaching. The order also, quote, allows prohibiting the daughter from reading the Bible, according to a November 12th release. Man, the custody order gave Matthew, the girl's biological father, the sole right to decide about whether his daughter attends any services, whether she can review video messages or literature, whether she can communicate with any of the members. It encompasses any other church, religious organization, or exposure to the teachings of any religious philosophy of the Bible in general, specifically just the Bible, just Christian. Because of an unconstitutional custody order, Emily Bickford is prohibited from bringing her preteen daughter to the church. Total authority given to the dad. They're calling the church a cult. Very specifically, the reason why they brought in a California sociology professor. Those three words together should make you run. California sociology professor. By the way, I could be a sociology professor in California. It's just like I have the master's degree. I've got the teaching experience. I've worked at college level before. I've taught college classes before. I could be that. There's plenty of people with far less requirements and authority than me have gotten these positions. So California sociology professor is a, quote, expert on cults. But what does it take to be an expert on cults? Just that someone said so, and so now you are. I mean, literally, that's it. This might actually be an expert. I don't know, but I'm just saying, like, none of these words mean anything. To convince Maine District Judge that Calvary Chapel is a cult because of its biblical teachings on hell, demons, and spiritual warfare. Ooh, they would think I'm a cult too then. That's so sad. People don't believe in demons. They don't understand we're in a spiritual war, and they don't understand what hell is, and they don't understand anything. And they're like, a charismatic authoritarian leader usually teaches a transcendental belief system that offers answers and promises salvation. You're like, you just described every Christian church. But I've talked about this. I've done entire shows. You guys may remember, if you've been here long enough, on what is a cult, how is it or is it different from any religion or any spiritual tradition, right? What is the dividing line? When do you get to say? And essentially, when it comes down to it, is it socially acceptable or not? And right now in our modern society, all churches are not socially acceptable. Christianity is not socially acceptable. So all of Christianity could be labeled as a cult quite easily, and this guy's proving it. I don't know. I mean, there are churches that are actually horrifying, and maybe this is one of them, and maybe that girl was being abused, or maybe, definitely something like that could be happening. And in that case, I'm glad the dad got in and got his daughter protected, and cool. I just can so easily imagine it being the other way around because of how ridiculous everyone is in regards to Christianity specifically. So, people are calling for an urgent prayer request for this so that they can continue to allow the 12-year-old daughter to go to church. So if you feel so moved, then feel free to pray or do whatever you do on behalf of her. I would just say, whatever's best for her, because I don't know. So, universe, take care of that little girl, whatever way is best for her. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Love you, love you, love you. Today's aggressive left-wing radicals attacked. Oh, we already talked about that. That was the Antifa attacking the AFD party. Oh, this is great. We'll end here on this piece of horror. In fact, let's do this. Let's do this. So this is the USDA, NIH, University of Georgia, Mount Sinai team aerosolizes lab-engineered chimeric influenza frankenviruses. The journal NPJ Vaccines study. This is raising national security concerns. A Thursday NPJ vaccine study confirms U.S. federal agencies, including the U.S. Department of Agriculture and the National Institute of Health, funded the laboratory creation of genetically engineered influenza viruses built from plasmids, artificial gene fusions, synthetic insertions, and modified genome segments. So I've told you before that anytime you read the word virus, you should think about it as genetic editing, that they're actually just taking genes. It's gene warfare. And this is no different. So whatever they're saying a virus is, it's not as you've been told. And when they're talking about it, this is what they're talking about. They're talking about taking mRNA, modified or messenger, and using it in order to accomplish gene editing, which does make you feel sick. Your body goes into a reaction when foreign DNA or RNA is inserted into it, and your whole body actually changes. And so, you go through like releasing all these old tissues. That's a lot of the snot and the whatever else that's being released from your body as other things are being built up, which makes you exhausted, headache, all the things, sweating, etc., etc., etc. So plasmids, artificial gene fusion, synthetic insertions, and modified genome segments have been engineered by the U.S. Department of Agriculture and the National Institute of Health. The work was carried out by researchers at the University of Georgia, the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai. Every time I hear Mount Sinai, I get the worst feelings. I've never looked deeper into it than that, but not good. And the U.S. National Poultry Research Center, Agricultural Research Service, and USDA. Remember when we just read that other article that said scientists are warning that the bird flu is one mutation away from being virulent and causing a pandemic? Well, here's the pandemic research for you. Authors listed on this study, etc. Studies funding confirms direct federal involvement. Funding for this work includes grants from the National Institute of Food and Agriculture, U.S. Department of Agriculture, etc. Aerosolized, lab-engineered chimeric influenza frankenviruses. Remember when they said that they could aerosolize vaccines and vaccinate everyone, whether or not they liked it? Remember that? Remember when they told us then that they were engineering these things to aerosolize them and specifically told you? They call it influenza. Whatever you want to call it is fine. It is something that will make you sick, and that is what they have engineered. So there you go. As always, you are actually the end arbiter of how your health goes. So a healthy body, a healthy mind, a healthy heart, a healthy soul have the 100% chance of overcoming that which is overcomeable, and almost everything is, as far as the body is concerned. And so you're giving yourself the best chance, then you will always come out on top. I mean, eventually we're all going to die. That's just like the one thing you know for sure about living is that you'll die. So you're not saying, oh, I'm going to live forever then because I have the healthiest heart and soul. Like, no, but you're saying, you could spray me, not inviting it, not allowing it, just for, just for thought process purposes. You could spray me with whatever toxin, my body would get through it. You could insert whatever mRNA, my body would get through it. My body is running on divine scripture. That's what my DNA is. It's divinely written scripture. It's in every cell of my body, and nothing you can do can stop that. So, you've clearly tried, and here I am. And we're all the same in that regard. So I always am telling you, right, like these are the ways to keep yourself healthy. It's you got to do something good for your mind every day. You got to do something good for your emotional state every day. You got to do something good for your body every day. You got to do something with God, your soul, or on the spiritual level every day, right? I actually channeled that through the spiritual ancestors in the key of transformational healing, I don't know, 6 years ago, whenever this book came out. And if you read the key of transformational healing, perhaps that sounds familiar to you, because this is what they say too. They say every day, honor the temple of your body, honor the temple of your mind, honor the temple of your heart, honor the temple of your soul. It just means do something good for yourself. And otherwise, right, you need to be doing purified water with remineralization. You need to be eating high quality foods, as local as you can get them, as organic as you can get them. You need to not be eating seed oils. You need to be eating high nutrient density foods. You need to be increasing your body's detox pathways. That means sinus rinses. That means, I just lost the word, but making sure your bowel movements are happening frequently. Enemas, right? Coffee enemas, if you tolerate them, or otherwise, just to support your body in releasing toxins, so that it continuously supports itself more and more easily. You're in a toxic world. So even if they didn't spray you with aerosolized mRNA, frankenviruses, or whatever they want to call them, you would still need to do these things because you're surrounded with crazy, weird radiation. They already been spraying toxins at you most of your life. You've been injected how many times, unless you had an amazing family and all sorts of things. So you've already been so challenged. So continue to support yourself in those ways. And then it doesn't matter what they spray at you, because you're in control of you. And until you are, travel well, aim for balance, and always look inside first.
Screens, it's a plot to drop the IQ. Fighting amongst each other over rumors that don't like you. Prefer us trapped in melancholy with the wood wands of holly. Suggestions that obliterate to camouflage the folly. Attempted mental robbery, executed sloppily. The hypocrisy, this mockery, and walk the talk with me. Put the hands up to touch the Akasha, cause you know deep down there's something bigger than your wallet.